Once a red, always a red. That underlined by Harvey Elliott, the 17-year-old who, when he was just 16, having turned down Real Madrid in order to sign for his boyhood heroes, Liverpool FC. Welcome to the agenda here on the Blood Red channel. I'm Guy Clarke. Alongside me, Dan Kay, as we get ready to tuck our teeth into a story regarding the youngster Harvey Elliott and how he turned down Real Madrid at the time, a side who were 3 times Champions League winners, to sign for Liverpool, who of course had won the European Cup the following year in Madrid, and then he of course moved from Fulham to Anfield. Dan, thanks for joining me, and well, as we say, this chat all about Harvey Elliott and just how determined he was really to sign for Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It's an interesting tale that's come initially from The Athletic this morning. The Echo did report some time ago that we knew there was interest from Real Madrid and some other of Europe's top clubs last summer, when it became clear that the 16-year-old Harvey Elliott would be leaving Craven Cottage, having already kind of broken through to the first team there. But it's emerged that there wasn't just interest from Real Madrid, that Harvey and his family were actually invited over to Madrid to go and have a look around. They were given a tour of the famous Bernabeu stadium, and also the Madrid training ground at Valdebebas. And it transpires that when they were looking around the Real Madrid dressing room, and like with a lot of top clubs, they've got the shirts hanging up of all the star players and everything. When they came to Sergio Ramos, who of course huge worldwide football figure, as you pointed out, I think he'd lifted 4 out of the previous 5 European Cups before the summer of 2018. Obviously, Real won 3 on the bounce, and also the one before that in 2014. And so when the Elliott party arrived at Ramos's shirt, it was suggested to them that maybe young Harvey might like to meet the Real Madrid captain, Spanish international, worldwide superstar. But Harvey very much laid his Liverpool cards on the table, and from the sounds of it, quite politely but firmly replied, sorry, just let me get this line 100% right. No, it's okay, thanks. I don't like him after what he did to Mo Salah. And I won't lie. I think I've got quite a high opinion of the young man anyway. He's he had pretty positive first season at Anfield. Really, he made, I think, 5 or 6 appearances in the 5 or 6 starts in the League Cup and FA Cup this season, as well as 1 short Premier League appearance against Sheffield United in January, when I think he became Liverpool's youngest ever Premier League player. Now, we often hear, it's been the case for years, haven't we, when a player signs, "Oh, I've always been a Liverpool fan," and I think you do kind of tend to take that thing with a bit of a pinch of salt. But for a young lad, you can't really call him a young man at 16, a young man in those kind of surroundings, with the prospect of signing for whether people like it or not, one of the biggest and greatest names in world football, to have enough self-confidence and self-assuredness in his own position and his own beliefs to actually say that to them, I think really is kind of indicative of what we've seen probably really in the when we've seen him in a red shirt this season. He does seem to have a maturity and experience way beyond his years. But I think this little anecdote really does kind of put that into context. So it should be pointed out possibly the reason why Harvey had, a little bit of a dim view of Ramos, like Liverpool fans. He wasn't just watching the final in Kiev the previous year. He was there. He went with his dad Scott. There's a nice picture in the Athletic piece of a group of them in Kiev. So he was, he experienced the heartbreak of Kiev firsthand, and obviously in the summer of 2018 that would have been very fresh in the mind only a couple of weeks before. But yeah, I think a lot of fans when they read this story today, when they see this particular line coming out, it will just make them think, he'll do for us. He's made of the right stuff, this lad.
I was going to say, and help endear him to Liverpool supporters, because over the last decade or so, there's been a number of young lads move up from London into Liverpool's academy and break through, the likes of Raheem Sterling and Jordan Ibe, to name but 2. But Harvey Elliott here, with this story emerging, it's really nailing the colours to the mast. As you say, being in Kiev, a lot of people already aware he's a Liverpool fan, but that line of saying, "I don't like Ramos after what he did to Salah," just will endear him to the Liverpool supporters. He may not be a Scouser, but as you said there, he's made of the right stuff. they'll feel he's one of them.
Well, exactly. Exactly. It just goes to show, doesn't it, that it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. I mean, I've always said that some of the most passionate and dedicated supporters I've met as a journalist and as a Liverpool fan aren't necessarily from Liverpool. And I think this goes to prove the point. I mean, it's one thing to wear a red shirt and follow the games on TV and shout your heroes' names when you're banging the balls in the back of the net in your schoolyard or your back garden or whatever. But the fact that before he had any real involvement with Liverpool, that him and his father, this wasn't an easy little hop over to Paris or Madrid like some of the previous. Kiev is pretty much as far flung as you can get for a European Cup final. So I think this really this whole story does show that Harvey is a Red. And once Liverpool expressed an interest in him, I mean, obviously we don't know. It may well be that there could have been some contact made with Liverpool with Harvey and his family before this. Maybe he already knew Liverpool were already interested. That being said, though, to have the chutzpah and the self-confidence to speak to Madrid people about their own club captain, one of the most established figures in the world game, about an issue that was, quite controversial and hugely talked about at the time, I think shows that, with a couple of years more experience under his belt and hopefully physically and emotionally he'll grow into being a Liverpool player. He does seem to have all the tools at his disposal. Now, we've seen with many young players in the past, it's ability isn't always enough. You've got to have the application, the determination, the motivation to succeed. And the willingness to learn, of course, as well. But one thing that it seems Harvey very much does have in his favour is the fact that he is a Liverpudlian. He loves the club. He is a Red, and he will be aware of the opportunity he's got. Liverpool. If he was 10 years older and if he'd been joining Liverpool in 2010 or 2009 rather than 2019, it would have been a whole different scenario for him. But the club is in as rude a health, I think, as it's been in a long, long time. And I'm sure he is very much aware of what an unbelievable opportunity this is for him. And, like I say, I think the first 9-10 months of his Liverpool career really have gone, I think, probably as well as he could have hoped, given his age. He was never going to play 30 Premier League games at 16. It does seem, by and large, from the bits and pieces we've heard of him, relatively level-headed for a 16-year-old. And I can't imagine he came in last summer expecting to play 30 league games, which was never going to happen. But having played, I think it's 5 starts in the domestic cups and 1 sub appearance against Sheffield United in the Premier League. And in each of those occasions, really, he's shown that he's not just got the ability, he's got the temperament to deal with, with what it takes to play for Liverpool, with the weight of that red shirt. And I think particularly the game that would have stood out to me was the FA Cup derby against Everton in January, when he was up against Luca Dean, a very established player, French international, played for Barcelona. And he really gave Dean a bit of a torrid time at spells in that match, which, for me was one of the absolute highlights of Liverpool's season. For such a scratch team to, win against the full strength Everton, who had only just welcomed Carlo Ancelotti in as manager and were kind of on the crest of a wave a little bit. But I think he showed then that, that there is a maturity there and a real drive and determination. But hopefully, if that's allied with a real willingness to learn and probably to a certain degree be patient as well over the coming seasons, Liverpool could really have an absolute superstar on their hands.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks that way. I'm sure the Kop and the rest of the fans at Anfield have sort of taken him even more into their hearts now with these comments about Sergio Ramos. But Dan, that sort of wraps up our chat on Harvey Elliott. Do make sure that you join us on the Blood Red channel. Of course, tomorrow marks the first anniversary of Liverpool lifting their 6th European Cup in Madrid. We've a special documentary to share with you, as well as, of course, the Blood Red podcast will be back to look back on that occasion and the landmark that is. But until next time here on the Blood Red channel, it's bye for now.